You kind of remind me of Ron Paul.
Of course, I love Ron
I love
Paul.
Ron Paul too. In the fact that I disagree with some of his policies, but he's just a straight up honest dude, and he just speaks the truth,
Right.
which is so rare in politics.
So rare everywhere.
So rare everywhere, yeah, exactly. So I see Ron. I'm all about getting out of the social conditioning. I see Ron Paul in politics. I see you in fitness, and I just gravitate towards you guys. I'm like, I sense genuineness, and it's so rare to me.
Thanks.
Do you think you're like at your deepest nature that you're an infinite being? Like if even if you die, you're gonna go into some other consciousness, and that you've been alive for forever.
Well, let's go back to that block of ice.
Yeah.
Well, where'd that ice come from? From water.
Uh huh.
Where'd the water come from? Well, the atmosphere. Well, it has the atmosphere. Is there less atmosphere or more atmosphere since the beginning of atmospheres? Well, I once heard that all the water that's here is the same water that's always been here. It's on Earth and it goes into the clouds, and then it comes back to Earth and it goes into the clouds. And this is what the water has been doing since the Earth has evolved.
Yeah.
So it's like that piece of ice to be like, well, I'm just this piece of ice. I'm completely finite. Is retarded, because you know what? That piece of ice is going to end up in my glass of water or in someone's soda, and they're going to drink it, and they're going to piss it out, and it's going to evaporate. It's going to go back into the fucking clouds, and it's going to come back down again somewhere else.
Nice. Yeah.
That's the nature of the human being. We're a physical manifestation of a cloud reality, a spiritual reality.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine in the future if they could like make clones, and instead of your consciousness just only controlling Elliott Hulse, maybe you could control like 100 Elliott Hulses all at the same time.
Well, that would be boring again. I don't want to do this form again. I already did this form. I first of all, my ass is way too big. I can't deal with this one anymore. Like, I wouldn't want to be cloned. First of all, there's no way that no one's going to relive my experiences.
Uh-huh.
But if this consciousness could kind of like go into another body,
Yeah.
I'd like to try that out.
That'd be fun.
I'd like to try out what it's like to be like, in India and like just sit and do yoga all day. Or maybe a dentist. I saw they had these street dentists in I'm mixing words here, in India one day. These guys that like, people can't afford dentists, so these guys sit on the street like on a box and they dig people's teeth out, and like the people in the town love them. That seems pretty cool. Or maybe, I don't know, there's so many cool things that I might want to try. I don't want to be cloned. I don't want to do Elliott Hulse again. This is worn out already.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll see what it's like to be an African or a European or an Asian. That might be cool.
Yeah. Maybe I've always thought it'd be cool to be an eagle, just like fly around.
An
That'd be cool.
eagle. Imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be robbed of that. Think of the experience of an eagle. I mean, it flies miles above the earth and can spot tiny little things, and it zooms in and catches it, and it's... No, I don't want to be reincarnated as Elliott Hulse again on clones. I want to be a fucking eagle like you. Right? That's
Yeah.
got to be cool.
That'd be awesome. What are your thoughts on there's lots of guys who go through stages on like one night stands, casual sex, monogamy, soulmates. I believe you've been with your wife since you were really young.
Yeah, 14. Yep.
14. Wow.
Yep.
Like, do you think you're like soulmates? Do you think what
It just happened this way. This is the way the dance happened for me. And the dance, and that's why I call it a dance, because a part of it's when we're doing it, sometimes it's neurotic. But then there's like, this is where the spirit's taking you. And I have no hang-ups about relationships and dating or premarital sex at all.
Yeah.
I just happen to have married the high school girl that I started having sex with when I was 14. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
It's just like, we dated, we went apart from each other, we dated, we went apart with each other, and finally, like, we just kept happening, and it was like, well, let's just get married. I mean, what else? Let's try this one out. And we got married.
Gotcha.
So I have no preconceptions about rights or wrongs on how people choose to live their sexual lives or marriage or anything like that.
Yeah.
I feel that my experience with my wife has been a positive one, and it's contributed immensely to the man that I am today. I know I wouldn't be, because she's so grounding for me that she's been like a rock throughout all the difficult times and even times that are just confusing. That you wouldn't experience me as you're experiencing me now in this way if it weren't for her. So it's been nothing but a positive. It's all positive, but I can point to a lot of things that on paper look good about my decisions. So I'm cool with it.
Awesome. So a big thing about your philosophy is just having zero expectations and just going wherever the dance takes you, knowing that wherever the dance takes you is the most magical thing, and that's meant to be. Is that?
It's the most exciting thing in the world. See, Halloween is coming up, right? Where do you live?
Santa Barbara, California.
All right, so you live in the U.S. Halloween's coming up, right?
Yeah.
And when we do this strange thing in Halloween, they create haunted houses. Now, if you go into a haunted house, you're going to get fucking scared, right? I mean, you go in with the intent that something's going to jump out and like scare you, and you're going to shit your pants. You're just going to freak out.
Yeah.
You don't walk into a haunted house not knowing that shit's going to happen. But yet, nervous people all over the country line up to go in haunted houses on Halloween. Why? Because there's so much pleasure in the experience of being scared and being taken by surprise.
Yeah.
That we do it to ourselves. We watch horror movies, suspense movies, because there's so much excitement and bodily pleasure in that anticipation, in that not knowing. So why do we have to recreate it? Why do we have to use recreation when we could just live our lives that way?
Yeah. It makes perfect sense. That's a great metaphor.
I don't want to know. I want just this mystery to happen.
Yeah. One big thing, like I've learned in just relationships in general, is not to be needy. So
Not what?
Is not to be needy, whether it's with a friend or dating. And then the other day I was thinking I should apply that same principle to like God or the spirit or whatever you want to call it, and not be needy with God, which is like, okay, just do whatever you want. Like maybe I'll have desires, but take me wherever you want, and that's when you'll be taken to the most magical, amazing things.
Oh, and it's so much more fun. It's fun and it's magical.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you always end up in the coolest places. I'm where I am. See, I had a particular idea about what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I took certain actions towards it. But remember, that's only 50% of the game. God took me the other 50% of the game, and some of the coolest shit that I couldn't have predicted is like, wow, I could never imagine that these stupid YouTube videos that I'm making just so I can get more kids to come to my gym is going to be how I reach, what'd you say, 85 million people?
85
views?
million. Insane.
I like that totally is a monster jumping out of the closet and going boom, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
So when you say 85 million, I'm like, oh, whoa, that's crazy, and it's a pleasurable mystery.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Go with it, man. It's so much cooler than you could have planned.
Yeah, exactly. Now I think you have to, by willing to take risks and jumping on every opportunity you have, you're telling that God's spirit, give me more opportunities. Like you're saying, if I take a risk, you better have my back up there. And it's like whatever force it is, always has your back if you take the risk.
See, having your back, it's a tricky thing, because having my back means you're going to take care of me in the way that I want you to take care of me, right? Yeah. So if you go into a fight and you say, buddy, you got my back, right? That means, if I'm down, motherfucker, you're gonna punch this dude, right?
Yeah.
But when God has your back, you have to be detached from how he's gonna have your back. It might be, you know what? Yeah, I got your back, but you need to fucking get your legs broke off in this car accident. Yeah. You need to be in a wheelchair right now. Yeah, I got your back. I got your back. And you're there and you're in a wheelchair and you're depressed and you're hungry and you're in the street and you're like, I thought you had my back. God still has your back. Yeah. The thing is, you're not looking for the new experience that he's offering you. Him having your back means, hey, I think you should have a new experience. Goodbye legs, wheelchair. What are you going to do, buddy? Because I know you'll grow stronger through this experience. I know there are beautiful things on the horizon through this experience, because there always are. So, but now you're upset because you thought I was going to steer that car out of the way so you didn't get in a car accident.
Yeah.
That's your fault. You were attached to some outcome that you expected.
Yeah. See, now some people might say that's just a delusional mindset, that's pure positivity, and that the world is really chaos. For me, I've just had so many coincidences in my life and ups and downs, and all my downs, like if I get into a car crash or something, like just for example, the downs. It's always like there's some hidden lessons in there. So it's like
because what you're doing is you might call it a down, but what you're doing is you're being sensitive. Because you can label something good or bad, but you can also make something that's labeled bad good.
Yeah.
So people would be like, "Oh yeah, you're a positive thinker." Not necessarily. I just know that I can choose how I'm going to respond to every circumstance. Have you ever read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning?
No, I haven't.
Well, he was a Holocaust dude. He was a Jew in Nazi Germany.
Okay.
And he found enlightenment, happiness, joy he experienced while in a concentration camp.
Yeah.
And he talks with such poetic potency about that experience that you could read it and be like, wow, I wish I was in the concentration camp with you. So beautiful.
Wow.
It's his choice to have felt that way about it.
Yeah.
You might have called it bad, but he turned it good.
That's crazy. Do you have any fears in life right now? Anything?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think so. There are things that are. I heard someone put it this way the other day, that I have certain preferences, but I have no attachments, and it goes, good or bad. So fear would be like an attachment to not experiencing certain things. Mm-hmm. Like I wouldn't want to experience my family dying. Do you see? So that's an attachment. So I have a preference. I have preferences. I prefer to watch my children grow up and have grandchildren. You see what I'm saying? But I'm not attached to it such that I'm fearful that it'll be taken away from me. Because if a part of this dance means, well, one of your children is going to get sick, have cancer, and die, well, then it's a part of the dance. And I'm not afraid if that's going to happen. Again, I have a preference. I'd rather that not happen, but I'm not fearful if it does.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well put. I really liked how you, I remember like a month ago you uploaded a video about girlfriend's dad is an asshole or something, and then you took, which is a great video, but then you took the video down and re-uploaded a new one a day later, saying that the place where you were coming from was, you weren't quite coming from the best place in the first video. And I was wondering, I'm just starting to make these vlog videos. What advice do you have about making these vlog videos? Do you, I
do my best work when I'm not in my head. And I know I'm not in my head because I'm feeling and using my body when I talk. I'm animated. I've embodied my words. That means they're more true. Yeah. If I'm thinking too much, there are different types of thinking too, because a lot of times I'll pause in my videos and I'll look and I'll just do this. And that means I'm trying to get out the way and I'm trying to channel what needs to be said, as opposed to trying to memorize something that I should be saying or pandering to a particular ideal that the audience might have. See, if you're truly going to be controversial, which is always entertaining, you've got to truly be yourself. Yeah. And if you're answering questions with the intent to pacify a particular ideal that the audience has, then it's wrong. Yeah. Then you haven't done it right. Even though everyone gives you a round of applause, it wasn't a true answer. It didn't come from you. It came from information, or it came from prejudice. It came from biases and ideas. So when I re-uploaded the video, I realized, past couple weeks I've been making videos from my head, and I need to go back to my body. And I did some meditation and just started breathing deeply. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna get back in my body. And then I represented the video in a more real way. Now, this is the way I'm talking right now. This is real. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's wrong. Doesn't mean you'll like it better.
Yeah.
It's just it's coming from me now.
Yeah.
And that always feels better.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like there's so many people giving advice on the internet, like just blogs, Google search. You could Google search anything and you can find answers to anything. But there's so many internet marketers out there. There's so many people on forums people ask for advice and people give them advice, but who knows what you're getting. And so what I try to find when I'm getting advice is to find someone who's genuine, who's speaking from their heart, because that's the best way to figure out if it's good advice, in my opinion, is if it's genuine.
I got on the call late with you just now because I was recording a video just now outside, just right about that. Stop going to your head for all the answers and go to your heart and go to your gut. Go to your body for the answers. And a lot of times the heart and the gut isn't pretty. It doesn't give you that one that everyone is going to applaud at. It's not going to give you the one that everyone's going to nod and say, yes, you're right. But it's going to give you the one that's authentic because it actually comes from you. So it also means that you're, along with your authenticity is going to come some confusion from others and anger, frustration, even crucifixion by others because they just don't get it. You know, I think that's one of Jesus' last words. Forgive them, Father, because they just don't fucking get it. Basically, that's what he said. He's like, look, they just don't get it. They're crucifying me right now. And that's really what's going to happen. You're going to get crucified because they just don't fucking get it.
Yeah. Which is part of the fun. It's fun to have people hating on you.
It's even more fun when you find that, you know, those needles in a haystack that do get it. You know?
Yeah. It's like when I find someone who also like was really into Ron Paul, I'm like, whoa, like you actually understand there's like a real guy out there trying to make changes. It's not just Republican versus Democrat. There's actually some real people out there.
There's a couple of different types of people you're going to find in your audience, and one of them, they use the term fanboy. You know, you've got fanboy, Elliott's fanboys. I resent that not just for the people that watch my videos. I resent the term completely because I hope that when I speak, it's not to tell you anything. It's simply to awaken you to something that's already in you. And I don't want you to agree with me because you want to be my fanboy. I don't want you to say, yes, everything Elliott says is right and true. Yeah. I want you to agree with me because you feel it inside you. That, oh my God, like when he said something, when Elliott says something, it touched me like, oh, I feel it. That's when you know something's true, because you feel it. You didn't read it somewhere and it matched up. That's usually what the people who argue with me the most are like, well, that didn't match up with the book that I read, or didn't match up with my parents said, it didn't match up with my religion, doesn't match up with the school.
Yeah.
But when you feel something in you, it's now yours. You just embodied it, right? So Elliott Hulse said something, you didn't agree with me, you felt that. And that means all I'm doing is inviting you to awaken to your own genius.
Yeah, I feel like lots of successful people end up, people just kind of put them on a pedestal, and successful people have a bunch of yes men that just surround them that if you say something retarded, they'll be like, oh, great advice. Like maybe it was something you could do is just make a video where you give the most worst advice you possibly can. Just make it really obvious and just like do an experiment to see if like.
And there are going to be some people that are just like, yes, that's the best thing you've ever said. That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
It's like, guys, I was just doing this to prove a point that like don't blindly listen to me. Don't blindly listen to anyone.
No, what do you feel? And our feelings are never wrong, because sometimes I might say something that perhaps is authentic, it's genuine, comes from me, it's true. And I truly believe that this idea of truth is purely subjective.
Yeah.
You know, we have science to tell us a lot of things, that we have science to like refute science. But truth is always subjective. If you think Jesus Christ rose from the dead and walked on water, then hey, that's your truth, dude. I mean, you don't need scientists to tell you yes or no. If you believe it, fine.
Yeah.
It's not my business to dabble with that, you know. But if I say something that awakens a feeling in you, oftentimes there's cognitive dissonance associated with it, because it takes a stab at your deeply held belief. So if I say something about your religion, you know, let's say I challenge that. Look, people don't come back from the dead. People don't walk on water. You immediately you're going to go to your body. The very first response is going to be visceral. You just touched my body. The asshole usually tightens up. These are the typical physical responses to stress. You become a tight ass.
Yeah.
Anus kind of tightens up. Belly tightens up. Breathing stops reaching down into your pelvic floor. Shoulders hike up. Heart rate goes up. So if you notice those things happening physiologically within you, I just touched you. And because you got a visceral response to something that challenges your most deeply held beliefs, means you had better explore that one, dude.
Yeah.
Look into that one, because now here's the thing: if I didn't touch your body, if I say something and you're so conditioned in a way that you don't feel anything and you just nod your head and you're like, no, that guy's an idiot, click off, then it's like, well, then you're a lost cause. Someone who won't even argue with you, someone who just says, no, you're an idiot, and they go away. It's because they haven't embodied what you said. They're, in lack of better terms, they're a lost cause. They're not your person. But someone who you touch at a visceral level and they're like, no, they're like, no, you're wrong, and I'm angry, and I want to tell you why, and I'm going to spit it all out over the keyboards. That is probably one of your best fans in the making. Because if they're courageous enough to explore that feeling, besides you, it's not about you, it's not about Elliott Hulse. If they explore that feeling on their own and they come to a new realization because they were curious enough about that gut reaction, they'll come back later and they're like, I hated you at first. I couldn't stand you. I thought you were full of shit. And I thought you were a meathead. This is all types of stuff people say to me. This is my most common testimonial response. When I first met you, I hated you. I first watched your video, I couldn't stand you. Then the longer I watched and the more I thought and the more I kind of mulled over the things you said, the more I came to realize there's something being said here. This guy is making sense. And now I love you. And it's only because of your courage to have explored that feeling that I gave you. You feel really bad when I'm saying this right now and you want to rip my face off. Good. You're feeling something. Now go explore it. Come back later. That's a sensitive person. That's a person who's like, hey, look, I feel good for you. But someone who's like, dickhead, and moves on, is like, ah.
Yeah, great point. You've probably gotten like some pretty crazy inboxes, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, some of the stuff people, well, I'm going to use the word blessed, but I know it's a fucking dance. Not like God just threw this shit in my lap.
Yeah.
But I'm blessed to have 98% of the correspondence that people have with me is positive. Nice. There are a handful of people that are just like freaked out, weirded out. They say things that are just like, boy, you're superstitious. And you've got superstitious scientific people and you got superstitious religious people. They're the two worst ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But 98% of it is positive. If it's not needy, it's a positive statement.
Nice. Awesome.
Hey, dude, I actually have another call. The guy's trying to get through right now.
Gotcha.
I promised him to do a call at 1:30. This was fun. Yo, let me know when the recording is up.
Gotcha. I'll send you an email.
And I like this. This was a good conversation,
Thanks,
so I'll share it right away.
Yeah, thank you for doing it. All right, nice
later,
dude. Take care. Peace. You're the other dream characters. You're the whole dream world. And while you're in the dream, it feels so real, like that you're the character. And then suddenly you wake up and you realize you're actually the whole dream world. And to
Isn't that fun, though? That's such a fun thought. That's awesome.